jargon and unnecessary words to use correct grammar. Dan comments that in life we are often judged by our success. But have you ever really thought about what success means to you? His speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and his title is Defining Success. Let's welcome Dan.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I have a question for you all today. How do you define success? Obviously, I believe that everyone in this room is going to answer that question a little bit differently. And today, unfortunately, in our society, most people define success by material items. How much money do we have? How much fame and notoriety do we have? Even, how many Instagram followers do we have? But I'm here to tell you that success is very different for different people at different times in their lives. And oftentimes, success is a series of peaks and valleys, and it's not one ultimate pinnacle. So there's a big journey that goes along with defining success. Personally, I really like the quote from John Wooden and how he defines success, which is, success is a peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable. So to clearly sum that up, he's basically just saying as long as we give our all, we're successful, right? That can be a little trickier than it sounds, though, because we need to figure out, to us, what does it mean to be successful? How do we personally define success, right? And a lot of times I feel like people, they set too narrow of goals. They don't have enough purpose for their goals, and so they don't really know how to define success for themselves. A lot of times we'll set a goal of, for me to be successful, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, or if I make X amount of money, I'm successful. But unfortunately, behind those goals, there's not a whole lot of purpose, so it's easy to get derailed when we're trying to define success with those goals. So I want to show you guys today kind of a formula that I use with clients and myself personally to help you define what success is to you. And that formula is right here. It's purpose, which takes us to having clearly defined goals, which takes us to a clear plan, and then allows us to take action. So you notice the first and most important thing there is purpose. And I'm not talking about my purpose is to lose 10 pounds. My purpose is to have more energy. I'm talking about what gets us out of bed in the morning, what's our why, what gets us excited to kind of attack the day and have a plan of action for the day. And I think that all ties back to what's your why. So if you guys aren't familiar with the book, Simon Sinek has a great book called Starts With Why, and it kind of helps you define what's your why, what gets you out of bed in the morning, and what excites you to do what you're going to do on the day. So that all ties back to what is your purpose. Once we figure out our purpose, then it becomes a little easier. Now we can start to clearly define goals. In my realm, it's more the health and fitness realm, so the goals could be, I'm going to track my nutrition every day, I'm going to have X amount of water during the day, I'm going to get X amount of hours of sleep. From there, then we can have a clear plan, and from there we can take action on that plan. Unfortunately, most people get through these first 3 steps, and then the taking action part is really hard. So you may have a very good plan, you have, I'm going to get to the gym every day, I'm going to track my nutrition, I'm going to do all this stuff, and then the action becomes the hard part of it. So for me, what I've learned in this field is that taking action is all about building small daily habits and rituals into the day so that it becomes a consistent pattern that can help build you to those goals. And I'm going to give you guys kind of an example of that here. So we have clients that come in, we sit down with them, we ask them what their goals are. Typically, we get a very vague response like, I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to have more energy, right? So let's take the example of I want to have more energy. So what does that mean? How do we define success by someone having more energy? Well, obviously, they can give us feedback, yeah, I'm feeling better, I have more energy. That's kind of generic, so we want to delve a little bit deeper into that. So what it might say is, okay, why do you want to have more energy? The person might respond, well, 10 years ago, I was able to play with my grandkids, I was able to move around a little bit more, my low back didn't hurt, but nowadays my back hurts, I don't have enough energy when I go home to play with my grandkids, and it's really affecting my life. Okay, so now we have kind of more of a purpose. So this person's purpose might be, I want to move better, I want to feel better, and I want to gain back that energy that I had 10 years ago to be able to play with my kids. Okay, so now we're kind of getting somewhere. So from there, then we can now clearly start to define some goals that are attached to that purpose. So their goals might be to, I want to get more sleep, I want to increase my mobility and flexibility, kind of help get rid of my back pain, and I want to move better. So from there, now we can start to develop a clear plan. So let's say, again, those goals are to get more sleep. Okay, so I'm going to clearly define that plan now, and I'm going to say I'm going to get 7 hours of sleep every night. The next goal they have is they want to get rid of that low back pain. So maybe their plan is to now introduce some foam rolling. They're going to spend 5 minutes a day doing some foam rolling, different stretching to kind of help loosen up some of the areas that are affecting their back. And then lastly, they want to increase their flexibility and mobility, so maybe they put together some drills that they can do, on a daily basis to help increase those. So from there, the big step is now how do we take action on that? So the goal is to get 7 hours of sleep, so we need to build that into a habit. So our habit could be, I'm going to make sure, no matter what, every night I'm in bed by 10 p.m. That allows me to get those 7 hours of sleep I want. Next, for the foam rolling, how do we make that, how do we make that a habit? We're going to say every time I sit down to watch TV, I'm going to spend 5 minutes foam rolling, right? Everybody watches TV, you attach the habit to that, now I'm going to foam roll every time I watch TV. And then lastly, they want to increase flexibility and mobility. They have some drills that they want to do. So maybe every morning they wake up, no matter what, the first thing they do in the morning is they're going to go through those drills. So now we've kind of gone through the whole path. We started with our purpose. Now we're able to clearly define some goals, clearly define the plan, and now be able to take some action on those goals. So that, I realize that's a very kind of basic example, but you guys get the idea. It's all about defining success and what that means to you, and then clearly developing a plan of action for that. One thing though that is important to keep in mind when we go through this is that if you have a failure, which everybody's going to have, you can't look at yourself as the failure. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you had a failure and you had a little minor setback. We all have failures. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. So it's important to kind of actually gauge feedback from that failure. So what caused me to fail? What did I do wrong? Maybe what can I do better next time? What did work so I can continue in that plan of action? Because ultimately, as we're going through this, our goals, how we define success is going to constantly be changing and evolving. So it's important to constantly reassess where we're at, and after we fail, reassess that failure and how did it help us? How can it help us improve? And lastly, I just want to close kind of with how I started this, is that again, success is multiple peaks and valleys. It's not always going to be one clear pinnacle. There's going to be highs and lows, but that's what makes success great, is that we can experience those highs after we've gone through a few lows. And often success builds upon success, and one success builds to another, builds to another. So I encourage you guys to visualize success as a stepping stone where it's constantly building upon building upon building, and then that's going to allow us to have a lifetime of achievements.
Woohoo!